It started like any other sunny getaway in Cabo, white sand, turquoise waves, and the cast of Love and Hip Hop. Atlanta pretending to be on vacation while carrying enough drama to set the whole island on fire. Rasheeda and Kirk were there to reconnect. To show the world that after years of cheating scandals and quiet separations, they were still that power couple everyone talked about. Cameras were rolling, cocktails were flowing, and everyone thought this trip would finally be their peaceful reset. But that peace lasted about 2 hours, because somewhere between the beach dinners and poolside flirting, a voice note dropped. A voice note that was never meant to be heard. When Rasheeda's phone started buzzing during her live broadcast, no one expected it to play that clip. The voice on the other end wasn't just familiar, it was Kirk's. His calm, low voice came through loud and clear, saying something that made the entire set go silent. "I miss you too, Jasmine, but you know I can't keep doing this." The moment froze. You could hear the ice in Rasheeda's glass crack. Her co-host's jaw dropped. The live chat started flooding with comments, and within seconds, the internet exploded. Viewers couldn't believe what they'd just heard. Was Kirk really talking to Jasmine again, the same woman who'd nearly destroyed their marriage years ago? Was this some old message, or a brand new secret affair that just got exposed in real time? Rasheeda's eyes said it all. Shock first, then disbelief, then that slow, shaking anger she's known for. "Nah," she whispered, trying to stay composed on camera. "That ain't what I think it is." But everyone watching knew exactly what it was. The timing, the tone. It wasn't a coincidence. It was the sound of betrayal playing live, raw, and unedited. Producers scrambled to cut the feed, but fans had already screen recorded everything. Within minutes, Kirk's voice note was trending across every platform. Some said it was fake. Others swore it was recent. But one thing was clear: Cabo was no longer a vacation. It was a battleground. As the sun went down that night, the resort's calm turned into chaos. Phones were ringing, people were whispering in hallways, and Rasheeda was nowhere to be seen. Rumors spread that she'd locked herself in her suite with her team, refusing to speak to Kirk. Others claimed she'd already confronted him on the beach, in front of everyone, shouting words that had the crew in tears. Nobody knew the truth yet, but one thing was certain. This wasn't just another Love and Hip Hop trip gone wrong. This was the night Rasheeda Frost finally heard everything she wasn't supposed to. And if that voice note was real, Cabo was about to witness the kind of storm that reality TV only dreams of. The night after the live broadcast, the air in Cabo felt heavier than the ocean breeze. People had seen fights before, but this was something else. The clip of Kirk's voice had replayed across every gossip page, every fan account, every group chat that had ever whispered about his past. The comment sections were chaos. "Not again, Kirk. Rasheeda deserves better. Ain't no way," he said that to Jasmine. But deep inside the resort, away from the noise, Rasheeda sat in her suite, eyes fixed on her phone screen, replaying the voice note over and over, as if she could somehow change what she'd heard if she listened long enough. Her assistant tried to speak, but Rasheeda lifted her hand, silencing everyone in the room. "Don't," she said quietly. "I need to hear it one more time." The voice came again, smooth, low, unmistakable. Kirk's voice. And then Jasmine's faint laugh in the background. That soft, careless laugh that once haunted Rasheeda for years. She pressed pause, then finally whispered, "That man just embarrassed me in front of the world." Her team exchanged looks, but said nothing. No one dared. Meanwhile, Kirk was across the resort with the guys, acting like nothing had happened. Mendices was there, sipping from a bottle, shaking his head. "Bro, tell me that ain't your voice." Kirk tried to laugh it off. "Man, come on. People always trying to start something." But even he didn't sound convinced. His hands fidgeted, his phone face down on the table. "You know the internet always taking old stuff out of context." Mendices leaned forward. "Old stuff don't sound that fresh, my guy." By the next morning, producers were in panic mode. The network execs had already called. They wanted answers. Was the voice note real or edited? The show's ratings were skyrocketing, but the legal department was uneasy. Cameras followed as Kirk walked down the hallway, knocking on Rasheeda's door. She didn't answer. Instead, one of her stylists came out, blocking his path. "She don't want to see you right now, Kirk. Maybe tomorrow." "Nah, I ain't waiting till tomorrow," Kirk snapped, pushing past her. He knocked again, louder this time. "Babe, open the door. We not about to do this here." Inside, Rasheeda stood frozen, eyes glassy, her reflection in the mirror trembling as much as her hands. When she finally opened the door, the silence between them could have shattered glass. "So we doing this again?" she said. "After everything." Kirk sighed, lowering his voice. "It's not what it sounds like." Rasheeda laughed, bitter and broken. "It never is, Kirk. It never is. Outside, Jasmine was being cornered by Kendra and Carly Red, both demanding answers. Jasmine looked terrified but defensive. I didn't leak nothing. I swear to God, I don't even know how that got out. Kendra crossed her arms. But it's your laugh on the clip, Jasmine. You the only one who could have recorded it. Jasmine shook her head hard. Nah, Kirk sent that. Not me. I ain't dumb enough to ruin myself like that. As the argument heated up, cameras caught every word. Fans online started decoding timestamps, comparing voice patterns, even matching background noises to figure out where the recording happened. One theory said it was from last month in Atlanta. Another claimed it was recent, just days before the trip. Everyone wanted to know, was Kirk cheating again? That night, Rasheeda joined the dinner the producers had planned, but the tension was electric. Everyone kept their eyes on her, waiting for a reaction. Jasmine showed up late, face hidden behind sunglasses, trying to act unbothered. Kirk sat across from Rasheeda, forcing a smile. We ain't gone, let a little internet drama mess up our trip, right? He said. Rasheeda didn't even blink. She looked up slowly and said, You really think this is a trip anymore? Carly Red whispered to Spice. Oh, it's about to go down. And she was right. When the waiter brought drinks, Rasheeda set hers down untouched and leaned forward. Tell me the truth, Kirk. Was that message old? Kirk hesitated. Yeah, he said finally. That's from years back. You know how people be digging up stuff. Rasheeda's tone stayed calm, but her eyes burned. Years back? You mean the same years you said you cut all ties with her? He shifted in his seat, looking around as if the walls were closing in. It ain't like that. She hit me up about business. Business, Rasheeda repeated, her voice rising. So she laughs like that when y'all talk business. The table went quiet. Jasmine looked down, her hands trembling. Kirk's jaw tightened, and for the first time that night, he had no words. The cameras zoomed in as Rasheeda stood up. Nah, I'm not about to sit here and pretend. I'm done playing dumb for TV. She walked out, heels echoing against the marble floor, leaving the entire table stunned. Kirk didn't follow immediately. Instead, he rubbed his temples, muttering, Here we go again. Outside, the night air wrapped around Rasheeda like a warning. She walked toward the beach, pulling off her mic, trying to breathe. Her phone buzzed again, messages from fans, family, even her son. Everyone had seen the clip. The world was watching her unravel in real time. Then came the moment no one saw coming. Jasmine followed her, barefoot, no cameras at first. Rasheeda, please, can we talk? She said softly. Rasheeda turned around slowly, her expression cold. Talk about what? Jasmine, what could you possibly say that I haven't heard before? Jasmine's voice cracked. It wasn't supposed to get out. I swear, I didn't mean to hurt you. He told me he was. Don't finish that sentence. Rasheeda cut in sharply. You don't say he told me anything. Not again. Jasmine's tears welled up, her lips trembling. He made me believe y'all were done. I thought you knew. The words hit like lightning. Rasheeda took a step back, her anger twisting into disbelief. You thought I knew. Girl, I've been married to that man for 2 decades. What made you think I'd be cool with this? Jasmine's voice broke. I didn't think. I was stupid. I missed him. By then, the crew had caught up, cameras rolling again. Carly and Spice stood at a distance, whispering, Oh my God, this is too real. And it was. The tears, the wind, the sound of the waves, it didn't feel like reality TV anymore. It felt like a woman finally seeing her life fall apart in front of millions. Rasheeda turned away, wiping her face. You know what? I should thank you, she said bitterly. At least now I don't gotta guess what he's been hiding. Jasmine reached out, but Rasheeda pulled back. Don't touch me. Not tonight. She walked off again, this time not looking back. As she disappeared into the shadows, Jasmine sank to the sand, sobbing. Kirk appeared moments later, looking lost, confused, and caught. What did you say to her? He demanded. Jasmine looked up, eyes swollen. The truth, she whispered. Something you clearly can't handle. Kirk's expression hardened. Nah, you out of line. You messed everything up. Jasmine laughed weakly. Me. You hit send. Kirk. Not me. The confrontation turned heads across the resort. And, Kirk. Not me. The confrontation turned heads across the resort. Even guests unaffiliated with the show had gathered at balconies, filming on their phones. The hashtag Cabo meltdown started trending before dawn, and somewhere, producers were celebrating the biggest viewership spike of the season. While Rasheeda was packing her bags, ready to leave everything behind. The sun rose over the ocean, but nothing felt calm. Kirk stood by the water, phone in hand, scrolling through the flood of messages. Most were hate comments, calling him a liar, a manipulator, a repeat offender. "You'll never change," Kirk once said. And maybe for the first time, he believed it. Meanwhile, back in her suite, Rasheeda stared at her reflection again, mascara smeared, voice gone quiet. "You break a person once. It's your mistake," she said softly. "You break them twice. It's theirs for trusting you." Then she picked up her phone, pressed record, and started speaking not as a wife, not as a reality star, but as a woman tired of forgiving the same wound. "To every woman who's ever been lied to," she began, "don't wait for someone to tell you the truth. Sometimes, the truth finds you." And just like that, she posted it. Within minutes, the clip went viral. Fans called it the most powerful thing she'd ever said, but deep down, she wasn't chasing sympathy. She was letting go. Outside, Kirk watched from a distance as her post hit 1 million views. The waves crashed harder, almost mocking him. Cabo had started as their escape, but it ended as their reckoning. And the voice note, the one that started it all, was only the beginning of what would come next. The next morning came heavy with tension. The resort that once echoed with laughter now carried whispers and camera clicks. Crew members moved quietly. Producers argued in corners, and everyone waited for the next explosion. Rasheeda hadn't come out of her room since dawn, and Kirk was pacing near the pool, pretending to take calls, though his phone had been on silent for hours. Every time someone looked his way, he could feel the judgment in their eyes. Jasmine, meanwhile, was sitting alone on a patio chair wrapped in a towel, staring at the ocean. Her makeup was gone, her phone dead, and her name was trending for all the wrong reasons. Homewrecker snake, drama queen. The comments cut deep. But the worst part was knowing she didn't even leak the voice note. She kept whispering to herself, "I didn't do it," like maybe saying it enough times would make someone believe her. That's when Carly Red showed up, holding her phone out. "Girl, you might not have done it, but somebody sure did," she said. Jasmine blinked, confused. Carly hit play. There it was, a screen recording posted just an hour ago. The same voice note, but this time, the caption read, "Proof Kirk still cheating. Y'all welcome." The account was a burner with no followers, no name, no picture. "Someone inside this resort posted this," Carly said. Jasmine's face went pale. "Inside?" "Yep." Carly nodded. They knew what they were doing. At the same time, in another part of the resort, Spice was on the phone with Yandi, giving her the blow-by-blow. "Girl, when I tell you Cabo's burning, I mean it." Rasheeda's not talking to Kirk. Jasmine's crying like she in a sad music video. And the network about to milk this for the next 6 months. Yandi laughed, half shocked, half entertained. "So who leaked it?" Spice sighed. "That's what they trying to find out, but something tells me this ain't random." Back at the suite, Rasheeda was finally packing. Her assistant, Maya, tried to talk her down. "You sure you want to leave before filming wraps?" Rasheeda didn't even look up. "I'm sure about one thing," she said, folding a dress with steady hands. "I'm not sitting through another scene pretending I don't know what my husband really is." Maya hesitated. "What if it's fake?" Rasheeda stopped folding. "Then he can prove it." Not long after, Kirk knocked again. "Rasheeda, can we talk, please?" His voice cracked. The kind of tired that comes from regret or guilt. It was hard to tell which. Rasheeda opened the door halfway. "Make it quick." Kirk looked worn, eyes red. "I didn't send that message recently, I swear. Somebody's trying to mess with us." Rasheeda stared at him in silence. "Somebody, or you?" Kirk exhaled. "You really think I'd do that again after everything we've been through?" She didn't answer, and that silence hit harder than any accusation. He stepped closer, lowering his voice. "Look, I ain't perfect, but that clip, it's old. That's from before me and you got back good." Rasheeda's lips trembled, but her tone stayed cold. "So you kept it. Why is it still on your phone?" Kirk didn't have an answer. He rubbed the back of his neck, searching for words that didn't exist. "I don't know," he said finally. "Maybe it got backed up. Maybe someone found it." Rasheeda shook her head slowly. "Every time you say maybe, you lose me a little more." Outside, producers were setting up for the next group scene. They had one mission: keep everyone in the same place long enough for the truth to slip out. They arranged a healing brunch, hoping to capture reconciliation on camera, but nothing about it felt healing. Jasmine arrived first, followed by Kendra, Spice, and Carly. When Rasheeda walked in, the room went silent. Even the sound techs froze. Kendra cleared her throat. "So, we all know why we here." Jasmine's eyes filled with tears instantly. "I just want to say, I didn't post that. I would never do that." Spice cut in. "Then who did?" "'Cause somebody wanted this to blow up, and they succeeded." Carly leaned forward. "And I'm telling y'all, Right now, it was an inside job. That account had behind-the-scenes footage only crew could have had. Rasheeda sat quietly, arms crossed. Doesn't matter who posted it. The voice is still his. The whole table went quiet again. Kirk hadn't arrived yet. When he finally walked in, everyone turned. He looked like he hadn't slept. "We need to end this," he said, voice rough. "Ain't no need to drag everybody through it." Rasheeda's laugh was short and bitter. "Oh, now you want to end it." Kirk looked right at her. "You really think I'm that dumb? I wouldn't put my marriage on the line like that again." Jasmine muttered, "You already did." Kirk's eyes flashed toward her. "And you shouldn't even be talking. You the reason this whole mess started?" Jasmine's mouth fell open. "Excuse me, you the one who sent me that message, Kirk? I ain't record not." Carly slapped her hand on the table. "So it was recent." Jasmine froze, realizing what she'd just revealed. Kirk glared. "You twisted that." Rasheeda stood up, shaking her head. "Nah, she didn't twist anything. You just confirmed it." Kirk's voice rose. "No, I didn't." But the damage was done. Every camera caught the shift in his tone, the panic in his eyes. The producers didn't cut. They kept rolling. The raw emotion was gold. Spice whispered, "Oh." He caught himself too late. Rasheeda's voice went low, steady, dangerous. "You lied again? And you did it on camera." Kirk tried to reach for her hand. "Baby, please. Listen." She pulled back. "Don't baby me, Kirk. Not this time." For a moment, no one spoke. Even the ocean outside seemed to still. Then Rasheeda looked straight into the camera. Her tone calm but sharp. "You see this? This is what it looks like when someone's out a second chances." She turned and walked away again, leaving Kirk standing there as everyone stared. As soon as she left, Jasmine broke down crying. "I didn't mean for it to get like this," she said, voice shaking. "He told me they were done, that it was just business, but I should have known better." Spice rubbed her shoulder gently. "Girl, you walked right into fire thinking it was candlelight." The crew wrapped for the night, but the drama didn't. Later, Kirk was seen on the beach, talking on the phone, pacing in the dark. Someone filmed it from a distance. You could hear him say, "I need that post gone by morning." Within an hour, the burner account that leaked the voice note vanished. No posts, no traces. But fans had already saved everything. Screenshots flooded timelines, making it impossible to erase. The next day, a producer cornered Jasmine. "Did you leak that clip?" he asked quietly. She shook her head. "No, but I think Kirk's assistant did." The producer blinked. "His assistant?" Jasmine nodded. "Yeah, I sent her that message months ago. I thought she deleted it." "Guess not." That revelation changed everything. It wasn't Kirk or Jasmine directly, it was someone close to them, someone who knew exactly how to destroy them both. And just as the truth began to surface, Rasheeda was packing her final suitcase, ready to board the first flight home. In none of the most emotional moments of the trip, Kirk tried one last time. He followed her to the airport lobby, cameras rolling quietly from a distance. "Don't leave like this," he said. "We can fix it." Rasheeda's tone was soft but final. "You don't fix what's already broken, Kirk. You rebuild it. And I'm not rebuilding this no more." She walked away without turning back, leaving Kirk standing under the bright airport lights that made his face look smaller, older, tired. And as the door closed behind her, the crew knew this was more than just another storyline. It was the moment Rasheeda Frost finally stopped being the forgiving wife and became the woman who had enough. The plane took off. The cameras faded to black, and Cabo stayed quiet, waiting for the storm that was still to come. Back in Atlanta, the story followed them like a ghost. Fans dissected every second of the footage, every word, every expression. Gossip blogs had already turned Cabo into a headline circus. Gossip blogs had already turned Cabo into a headline circus. Rasheeda walks out again. Kirk caught cheating part 2. Jasmine tells her side. The internet was merciless, and everyone had their version of the truth. Some called Rasheeda strong, others said she was dramatic. But deep down, even the loudest critics knew this wasn't just a storyline anymore. It felt too raw, too real. Rasheeda stayed silent for a week. She ignored calls from producers, skipped interviews, and shut off her social media. The only person she allowed near her was her best friend Toya. One afternoon, Toya came over with food and quiet concern. "You can't hide forever, Sheeda," she said softly. Rasheeda sighed, looking out the window. "I'm not hiding. I'm healing." Toya sat beside her. "You sure you ain't just running?" Rasheeda turned slowly. "Maybe both." Meanwhile, Kirk was doing damage control. He released a statement through the network, claiming the audio was manipulated and taken out of context. But the fans weren't buying it. One commenter wrote, "Manipulated? You can hear his whole voice confessing." Another said, that's his go-to excuse every season. Kirk tried to act unfazed, posting pictures from the gym, tagging #focus #growth, but the comments were brutal. In the middle of that storm, Jasmine resurfaced. She went live one night, eyes red but steady. I've been quiet long enough, she said. Y'all can drag me if you want, but I'm not the villain here. Kirk told me things that weren't true. He made me believe he and Rasheeda were done. I didn't record him. I didn't post that voice note, but I'm not covering for him no more. Her words hit hard, and within minutes, her live had 20,000 viewers. She continued, I was dumb. Yeah, I wanted closure, but all I got was chaos. That live broke the internet again. Rasheeda saw it, sitting on her couch in silence, face blank, tears slowly forming. Toya looked at her. You gonna call her? Rasheeda shook her head. For what? I don't need to hear it again from her mouth. Toya hesitated. You sure? 'Cause sometimes hearing it straight helps you stop wondering. Rasheeda finally whispered, I'm done wondering. By the end of that week, the network decided to spin the scandal into a special episode, The Aftermath, in Atlanta. Everyone was called in for interviews. Rasheeda arrived first, composed but distant. Producers wanted her to talk about forgiveness, but she refused to follow their script. Stop trying to make me look like I'm about to forgive a man who embarrassed me on national TV, she said sharply. This ain't about making peace. It's about being real for once. Kirk's interview was next. He tried to look confident, but the guilt hung on his face. I made mistakes, he said, but people gotta understand. We've been through a lot, and we always come back from it. The producer leaned forward. But this time feels different, doesn't it? Kirk nodded slowly. Yeah, this time she might really be done. The episode's filming brought everyone together again, but it wasn't the reunion anyone expected. Jasmine walked into the studio, cameras ready, while Kirk sat across the table, waiting. Rasheeda entered last, in all black, sunglasses on, no expression. The room tensed immediately. Carly, Spice, and Kendra were already seated, pretending to sip their drinks, but their eyes were glued to the drama. The producer's voice echoed, We're rolling. The silence that followed was so heavy it almost felt alive. Kirk was the first to speak. I want to start by saying I'm sorry, to Rasheeda, to my family, to everyone who had to watch us go through this again. He looked at her, but she didn't flinch. I can't change what happened, but I want you to know, I'm done with all that. No more lies. Rasheeda finally looked up. You said that last time. Kirk's voice softened. And I meant it then too. The crew exchanged looks, realizing the conversation was about to get deep. Jasmine took a slow breath. You don't gotta lie no more, Kirk. It's already out there. You told me what you told me, and it's done. Rasheeda turned to her. So you admitting it was recent? Jasmine hesitated. Yeah, but I didn't leak it. Spice whispered under her breath. Lord have mercy. The producer motioned to keep rolling. Rasheeda leaned back, crossing her arms. You really think it matters who leaked it now? The truth already out. Kirk's frustration cracked through. I said it was wrong, but I was trying to fix things with you. It wasn't supposed to go this far. Rasheeda laughed bitterly. You were trying to fix it by texting Jasmine behind my back. Jasmine wiped her eyes. He said y'all were done. Rasheeda. He said it was over. Kirk slammed his hand on the table. I ain't say that. Stop twisting my words. Rasheeda stood up slowly. See, that's the thing you don't even remember. What lie you told who? Carly muttered to Spice. This about to be the biggest episode in LHH history. The shouting started then. Kirk trying to talk over Jasmine. Jasmine crying. Rasheeda pacing, trying not to explode. The producer tried to intervene, but it was too late. This was real television, gold, the kind that couldn't be scripted. Finally, Rasheeda stopped, her voice low but shaking. You humiliated me again. Kirk, you made me the fool again. Kirk's voice cracked. I still love you. Rasheeda closed her eyes. Love don't look like this. She grabbed her mic pack, tore it off, and dropped it on the table. I'm done. This time for real. The room went silent. Jasmine whispered, I'm sorry. Kirk looked like the life had drained out of him. Spice sat back, shaking her head. That's it. It's over. Outside, Rasheeda got into her car, ignoring every question the crew shouted after her. As the door shut, she whispered to herself, I gave him everything, and he gave me another headline. The car pulled off into the night. Kirk stayed behind, sitting in the empty set long after everyone left. Cameras were off, but he kept staring at the empty chair across from him. Under his breath, he said, She really gone this time. His phone buzzed in, other message from Jasmine, unread. He turned it off and sat there in silence as the studio lights dimmed. Later that week, the special aired. The ratings broke records. Social media went into overdrive. Fans cried, cursed, and praised Rasheeda for walking away. Memes flooded timeline. But in one quiet moment, long after the noise died down, Rasheeda posted a single line on her story. Sometimes you don't need closure, you just need peace. The post went viral instantly. Celebrities reposted it, fans quoted it, and within hours, it became her most shared moment ever. And somewhere, Kirk watched it from his phone, alone in his car. Realizing that for the first time in his life, she really wasn't coming back. But Cabo wasn't finished with them yet, because what no one knew what hadn't yet surfaced was that there was a second voice note, and this one, if released, would turn everything upside down all over again. Rasheeda stood frozen, her phone slipping from her hand as the voice note replayed through the speakers again. Kirk's voice, low and unmistakably intimate, filled the air. "You looked good last night, Jasmine. That blue dress. Man, it brought back memories." The studio went silent. Producers exchanged glances, unsure whether to cut the live feed or let the chaos unfold. But Rasheeda wasn't silent anymore. She looked straight at the nearest camera and said, "So this what we doing now, Kirk? Live on air." The clip went viral within minutes. Fans were tagging Jasmine, digging up old photos, and the internet had already declared war. Back at home, Kirk was pacing, phone buzzing non-stop. His messages were flooded. "Bro, what did you say? You're done. Rasheeda's trending." He tried to call her, but every call went straight to voicemail. In the background, the kids were arguing, asking why people online were calling their dad Dirty Kirk. The tension was unbearable. Meanwhile, Jasmine was scrolling through comments, her name trending for all the wrong reasons. "They really think I'd talk to him again," she muttered, shaking her head, but a nervous smile crept across her face. Deep down, she knew that voice note wasn't new, it was old, but the timing of its leak, that was no accident. Someone had set this up perfectly. The next day, Love and Hip Hop cameras were already rolling as Rasheeda arrived at Frost Bistro. Paparazzi crowded the entrance, shouting questions. "Rasheeda, is the marriage over? Did Kirk cheat again?" She ignored them, walking straight inside. The staff fell quiet as she entered, their eyes filled with pity. Kirk was sitting in the corner, looking drained, his phone face down on the table. When he saw her, he stood up instantly. "Rash, please listen," she cut him off. "Nah, you listen. I told you after the last time, after the hotel mess, after the secret kid situation, I told you, I won't survive another embarrassment." Her voice cracked slightly, but she steadied herself. "And you went and gave me this? On live radio?" Kirk rubbed his temples, his voice low. "It was old, baby. Somebody leaked it. I don't even talk to Jasmine no more." She folded her arms. "Then who leaked it?" Silence. Kirk didn't have an answer, and the cameras caught that silence perfectly. Outside, Jasmine had just arrived, her publicist warning her, "This is not smart, Jasmine. The optics are bad." But Jasmine wasn't one to hide. She pushed open the door, chin high, heels clicking against the floor. The restaurant fell into an even deeper hush. "Really?" Rasheeda said, crossing her arms. "You came here to—" Jasmine replied calmly, "You want to talk about it? Let's talk." Kirk tried to step between them, but Jasmine wasn't backing down. "That voice note is 2 years old. We were filming then. Somebody edited it, and you know it." Rasheeda scoffed. "Girl, edited or not, Wyatt edited it, and you know it." Rasheeda scoffed. "Girl, edited or not, Wyatt. Sound so recent then." Your tone, his tone, same energy. Kirk's voice broke through, because whoever leaked it wanted this reaction. And guess what? They got it. The producers watching from behind the camera monitors couldn't believe what they were getting. Raw emotion. Real anger. Perfect for ratings. But even they weren't ready for what happened next. Jasmine pulled out her phone and played a different voice note, one from a private number, sent only a few days ago. And it was Kirk again, but this time he said, "Yo Jasmine, you still in Atlanta? Hit me up." The entire table went still. Rasheeda's jaw tightened. "You said you don't talk to her no more." Kirk stuttered, I didn't send that. That's AI or something, I swear." Jasmine laughed bitterly. "AI? Kirk, please." Fans watching the leaked footage online exploded with reactions. "AI Kirk is wild. Nah, he guilty. Rasheeda better leave him for real this time." Memes flooded the internet within hours. Even celebrities chimed in. Spice commented under a post, "Men will embarrass you in 4K. The fallout was immediate. Sponsorship calls paused. Frost Bistro bookings dropped overnight. But the real damage was inside their marriage. That night, Rasheeda didn't come home. She stayed with a friend, saying she needed space to think. Kirk kept calling, leaving desperate voicemails. "You know I love you. Don't let them win. They trying to break us again. But Rasheeda's heart wasn't listening anymore. 2 days later, Mona Scott Young called an emergency production meeting. This leak came from inside. She said, her tone sharp. Somebody wanted this chaos. Find out who. Producers began cross-checking who had access to unreleased material. And then, one name kept popping up. Yes, Mendice's ex, who had been quietly producing scenes lately. She had motive, she had access, and she had a grudge against Jasmine from months back. But when confronted, Kendra smirked. I don't leak. I just press record. Rasheeda was in the studio again days later, addressing fans live. I'm good, she said, forcing a smile. People gon' talk, but I know my truth. Callers poured in, some supportive, others harsh. One fan said, girl, you too strong to keep forgiving. Another added, you built that man up. Time to rebuild you. As Rasheeda's eyes welled up, she whispered, maybe it's time. That same night, Jasmine posted a cryptic story. Sometimes truth don't need defending. It just waits. Within minutes, Kirk posted his own. Everybody got opinions till it's their turn. Fans noticed the timing too close to be coincidence. Rumors started swirling that Jasmine and Kirk had secretly met again to clear the air. Paparazzi photos surfaced of two figures outside a lounge in Cabo, faces blurred but outfits recognizable. One in a red dress, like Jasmine's, the other wearing Kirk's signature white hat. Rasheeda saw the photo before bed. She stared at it for a long time, heart pounding, unable to breathe. She called Mona directly. Set up the cameras. I'm flying to Cabo. By the time Rasheeda's flight landed in Cabo, social media was already on fire. Hashtags like #SaboChaos and #KirkCaught were trending worldwide. Fans were dissecting every frame of that blurry photo, claiming it was proof that Kirk and Jasmine had rekindled something behind Rasheeda's back. Paparazzi had swarmed the luxury villa where the Love and Hip Hop cast was filming, hoping to catch the next explosive moment. But Rasheeda wasn't there for gossip. She was there for truth. She stepped out of the car, wearing a white jumpsuit and oversized shades. Her energy was cold and focused. The cameras followed her every move as she walked toward the beachside lounge, where Kirk and Jasmine were reportedly filming. Producers whispered in their earpieces, "She's here, get every angle." Kirk was already seated inside, pretending to check his phone, trying to look calm. Jasmine, sitting across from him, looked more amused than nervous. "Guess the storm's about to hit," she said under her breath. When Rasheeda entered, the entire atmosphere shifted. The room went silent except for the waves crashing outside. Kirk looked up slowly, guilt all over his face. "Rash," he started, but she raised a hand to stop him. "Nah, don't rash me. You got something to say. Say it, right here, right now." Since everybody already listening, Jasmine glanced at the cameras, sensing what was about to happen. "Look, I didn't plan for that photo. I was here for work," she said, her tone defensive but steady. "Yeah, work," Rasheeda replied sharply. "You always working around my husband though, ain't you?" Kirk stood up. "Enough. Y'all acting like I planned this. I came to film. That's it." Rasheeda took a deep breath, fighting tears. "Every time it's the same story. You say it's nothing, then it's something. You say it's old, then it's new. How many times you want me to look stupid for you?" Kirk's voice softened. "I love you, Rash. You my wife. You know that." She shook her head. "Love don't feel like humiliation." Jasmine tried to interject, but Rasheeda turned toward her, voice firm. "And you stop acting innocent. You knew what that voice note would do. You knew it." Jasmine leaned forward, eyes narrowing. "I didn't leak that. You want someone to blame. Look at your husband." Kirk slammed his hand on the table. "Stop trying to turn her against me." But the tension had already snapped. Rasheeda whispered, "You already did that yourself." The camera zoomed in on her face, raw, broken, but unflinching. She grabbed her bag and walked out, ignoring Kirk calling her name. Jasmine sat back, crossing her arms, whispering to herself, "Guess he finally got what he wanted." The footage leaked before the episode even aired. Clips of Rasheeda's confrontation in Cabo racked up millions of views in hours. Fans were divided. Team Rasheeda all day. Some wrote. Others said, "She's too dramatic, it's just business." But a few sharp-eyed viewers noticed something strange in the leaked video. A woman in the background wearing sunglasses and holding a mic looked suspiciously like Kendra. By the next morning, Kendra's name was trending too. People accused her of staging the entire leak to boost her own upcoming show. She went live on Instagram, sipping a drink and saying, "If y'all think I'm behind that mess, you giving me too much credit. I just press record. What y'all do with it after, that's on you." Her smirk said it all. Back in the villa, Rasheeda sat on the balcony overlooking the ocean, silent. Mona came to see her. No cameras this time. You holding up? Mona asked gently. Rasheeda gave a faint smile. I'm tired, Mona. Tired of being strong for people who keep breaking me. Mona nodded. I get it, but you gotta own your story before someone else does. Rasheeda looked up. Maybe it's time I tell mine. That evening, she posted a picture on Instagram, just her reflection in a window. With the caption, "No response is still a response." Fans flooded the comments, reading it as confirmation that she was done with Kirk for good. Kirk, meanwhile, posted a cryptic message. Ain't nobody perfect, but everybody judging. Jasmine commented under it with a single emoji, and that was enough to send the internet into chaos again. The next day, the production team arranged a private sit-down between Rasheeda, Kirk, and Mona to clear the air. Kirk tried to sound calm, saying, I ain't done nothing wrong this time, but it's like the past won't let me breathe. Rasheeda replied quietly, you brought the past into the present. You gave it power again. Mona leaned in. Y'all gotta understand, this show runs on reality, but the reality is, the world don't care who's right. They care who cries first. Kirk shook his head. So I'm just the villain forever. Mona said flatly, you made yourself the villain. Kirk, we just hit record. Later that night, Kirk was spotted alone at a local bar, talking to a producer. Witnesses claimed he looked frustrated, saying, they twisting everything. I ain't even do half what they showing. But what he didn't know, someone nearby was secretly recording that conversation. Within hours, that clip surfaced online. The audio was fuzzy, but you could hear Kirk saying, Jasmine told me to meet up, and I said no. I swear I said no. This new clip changed everything. Fans started questioning whether Jasmine might have been baiting Kirk all along. Blogs went wild with headlines like was Jasmine setting Kirk up, and Rasheeda's heartbreak might be part of someone else's plan. Jasmine fired back online, calling everyone gossip clowns, but the damage was done. The next morning, Rasheeda received a text from an unknown number. They playing y'all like chess pieces. Ask who sent the first leak. She stared at the message, confused but curious. She called Mona immediately. You need to check your team, she said. Mona sounded tense. Why? Rasheeda replied, because somebody's trying to turn this show into a circus and it ain't me. Meanwhile, Jasmine was at a rooftop party, laughing with friends, pretending the world wasn't burning around her, but her assistant whispered, you need to see this. Showing her the same leaked text screenshot that had begun circulating online. Jasmine's face changed instantly. Who sent that? She muttered. Her assistant shrugged. Somebody who knows more than we do. Jasmine turned toward the balcony, staring into the night. Then it's not over. Not yet. And far away, in another part of the resort, Kirk was sitting with his phone, scrolling through messages from anonymous accounts, all saying the same thing. Check your circle. Someone close to you wanted that voice note out. He looked up at the reflection in the glass, his expression hollow. Who'd want to destroy me like this? The waves crashed outside. His expression hollow. Who'd want to destroy me like this? The waves crashed outside. The night thick with unanswered questions, and somewhere deep inside the villa, a new recording light flicked on. The next morning, Cabo was no longer just a vacation spot. It was a battlefield of whispers, cameras, and unfinished business. Every cast member walked on eggshells, avoiding eye contact, waiting to see who would break first. The leaked clips had turned everything upside down. Producers smelled ratings gold, while the cast could barely breathe under the pressure. Mona called a private meeting with security on standby. Nobody leaves till we find out who leaked that voice note, she announced. Someone in this house knows. Rasheeda sat quietly in the corner, her face expressionless but her mind racing. Kirk avoided her gaze, his jaw tight. Jasmine, arms crossed, looked bored but nervous. You really think we'd leak something that messy? She said sharply. Mona turned to her. Honestly, Jasmine, yes, because you benefit from mess? Jasmine rolled her eyes. Please, I got my own lane. I don't need Kirk or Rasheeda's drama to trend. Kirk muttered under his breath. You sure about that? She shot him a glare. The room was tense until Kendra walked in, holding her phone. You looking for the leak? She said. Then maybe y'all should look at the call sheet from that day. She dropped a printed page on the table. Somebody added a shadow assistant for that radio shoot. Name wasn't on the original list. Mona's eyes narrowed. Who? Kendra smirked. Tyra? Everyone went silent. Tyra was a new production assistant who had joined the show barely 2 months ago. Quiet and efficient. Nobody had ever suspected her. Security was sent to find her, but her hotel room was empty. The bed untouched. Luggage gone. Rasheeda whispered. So she disappeared right after the leak. Kirk rubbed his temples. This whole thing feel like a setup. Jasmine leaned forward. Maybe it is, but who paid her? Hours later, The production team traced Tyra's last payment to an unlisted company registered in Atlanta. The account name, Frost Visuals. Rasheeda froze. "That's our old company," she said, her voice low. Kirk's face went pale. "Wait, what? That account's been inactive for years." Mona gave him a sharp look. "Well, it's active now, and somebody's been using it to move money." The implication hit hard. Someone was using their name, their brand, to fund the leak. Rasheeda stood up. "Nah, I'm not playing no more. If this about to destroy my life, I'm gonna find out who did it." She stormed out, cameras following. Kirk followed her, trying to calm her down. "Rash, baby, listen, I don't know nothing about this." She turned on him. "And you think I believe that? Every time something goes wrong, somehow your name always sitting right in the middle of it." Kirk's voice rose. "You think I'd leak something that make me look guilty?" Rasheeda snapped back. "You've done worse for less." Their shouting echoed down the villa hallways. Jasmine appeared at the door, watching, her expression unreadable. Then she said quietly, "What if it wasn't him? What if it was somebody close like family?" Rasheeda frowned. "What are you talking about?" Jasmine hesitated, then showed her phone. "I got a DM last night, from somebody claiming to be your cousin. They said, I warned you, Kirk was gonna get exposed. We just sped it up." Rasheeda grabbed the phone, scrolling through the messages. Her face hardened. "That's Mel," she whispered. Mel was her cousin, someone who had worked briefly on Frost Visuals years ago before they cut ties. She was known for chasing clout and selling private info to blogs. "She wouldn't," Rasheeda said softly, but her voice trailed off. Jasmine sighed. "You never really know people till they see a camera." Mona arrived moments later, already on the phone with security. "Get Mel on the next flight here. If she did this, we'll handle it on camera." Kirk muttered, "So now it's a family ambush." Mona shot him a look. "No, it's closure." The following day, Mel arrived in Cabo, looking smug and unapologetic. "You wanted me here. I'm here," she said, tossing her braids back. Rasheeda stood in front of her, voice trembling. "Tell me you didn't do this." Mel smiled slightly. "Depends on what you mean by do. Did I leak it? No. Did I sell it to someone who wanted it? Maybe." Kirk's fists clenched. "You destroyed my marriage for money." Mel shrugged. "Nah. I just gave the people what they were already waiting for. Y'all been messy for years. I just put a mic to it." Rasheeda's voice cracked. "Your blood." Mel replied coldly. "Blood don't pay bills." The room fell silent. Even Jasmine looked shaken. Mona motioned for the cameras to stop rolling. "Cut it? This too real." But Rasheeda stopped her. "No. Keep it rolling. Let them see what betrayal looks like." Tears welled up in her eyes as she stared at Mel. "You grew up in my mama's house. You ate my food. And this what you do?" Mel's voice softened slightly. "I didn't think it'd blow up like this. I just needed a win." Rasheeda whispered. "You got one. Hope it keeps you warm." She turned and walked out. Later that night, Kirk found Rasheeda sitting alone by the pool. "You okay?" he asked gently. She didn't look at him. "I don't know who I can trust anymore. Every time I think I'm healing, somebody new cuts me open." Kirk sat beside her. "I know I ain't perfect, but I'm not your enemy." She sighed. "Then prove it. For once, just be the man who protects me instead of the one who hurts me." He nodded slowly. "You got my word." The next morning, he did something nobody expected. Kirk went live on Instagram. Sitting in front of the camera, he said, "Y'all wanna know the truth. I didn't leak nothing. Somebody used our old business to do it. But from this moment on, I'm done with secrets. I'm done with lies." Comments poured in instantly, fans praising him, others mocking him. But when Rasheeda saw it, she felt something she hadn't felt in a long time, maybe not forgiveness, but relief. Then, out of nowhere, Jasmine posted a short clip of her and Kirk laughing during an old shoot. No context, no caption, just vibes. The internet went wild again. She trolling Rasheeda, she trying to stay relevant. Kirk was furious. He called Jasmine immediately. "Why would you post that right now?" Jasmine replied coolly, "Because I can. You should have learned by now once it's public. It's mine too." By afternoon, the tabloids had new headlines. Kirk and Jasmine, still too close for comfort. Rasheeda slammed her phone down, exasperated. "It never ends with her," she said. Mona came over, half smiling, half serious. "Welcome to reality TV, baby. It don't end, it evolves." But when Jasmine's phone pinged that evening, her face went pale. It was another anonymous message, same sender as before. Next time, it won't just be a voice note. She stared at the screen, suddenly realizing she might not be the one in control after all. Jasmine couldn't shake that message. The words haunted her all night, glowing on her phone like a warning. Next time, it won't just be a voice note. She tried to ignore it, sipping champagne at the after-party, but her hands trembled when she lifted the glass. Even her friends noticed. "Girl, you good?" one asked. Jasmine forced a smile. "Yeah, I'm fine," but she wasn't. Deep down, she felt someone watching. Across town, Kirk was pacing outside the villa, phone pressed to his ear. "Whoever sending these messages ain't just messing with us, they playing everybody," he said. His old friend, producer Larry, replied, "Man, I told you, this leak ain't random. Somebody trying to crash the whole show." Kirk frowned. "You think it's internal?" Larry's voice dropped. "Bro, they've been talking about rebooting the show without you. Mona's testing new faces. They needed drama to phase you out clean." Kirk's eyes widened. "So they using my life for storyline." Larry sighed. "That's what they always do." The next morning, the sun hit Cabo like a spotlight. Rasheeda woke up early, walked to the balcony, and checked her phone. Hundreds of missed calls, dozens of blog posts. One headline froze her. Exclusive, Rasheeda Frost breaks down after Jasmine leaks second audio. Her hands shook as she clicked play. This time, the audio wasn't Kirk, it was her. Her voice, from a private call weeks ago, venting about Kirk, Jasmine, and Mona. She said things she never meant to be public, harsh, emotional things. "I wish the show would just crash. I wish they'd all leave me alone." She covered her mouth, horrified. This wasn't just invasion, it was destruction. She immediately called Mona. "How did my private call get out?" Mona's voice was tight. "We didn't leak that, I swear." Rasheeda's voice cracked. "Then who did?" Mona hesitated. "Rasheeda, that clip wasn't from our mics. It was recorded from your phone." Rasheeda froze. Someone had hacked her. Her mind raced through Kendra, Kirk, or someone inside the network. She felt her stomach twist. Kirk came into the room moments later, holding his phone. "Rash, look at this," he said. It was a message from the same unknown number Jasmine got. "Now you both understand." Cabo was only the beginning. Mona rushed over, calling a production halt. "This ain't entertainment anymore. This is sabotage," she said, but it was too late. Bloggers had already torn the story apart. Secret source exposes Frost marriage collapse. Rasheeda meltdown in Cabo caught on tape. The comments were brutal. Fans debated who was the real victim, who was lying, who was acting. The line between reality and storyline had completely vanished. Later that day, Jasmine finally snapped. She burst into Kirk's temporary villa, waving her phone. "You knew about this? You've been playing both sides." Kirk jumped up, startled. "What are you talking about?" Jasmine threw the phone on the couch. "You got the same message as me. Same number. What is going on?" Kirk shook his head. "I don't know. Why would I set myself up?" She laughed bitterly. "Because chaos keeps you relevant." Their argument was caught by a nearby camera drone, hovering just above the balcony. Jasmine noticed it first. "They filming this?" she screamed, pointing upward. Kirk grabbed a pillow and threw it at the drone. "Turn that off," he yelled. The drone retreated, but not before capturing Jasmine's last line. Shouted loud enough for the world to hear. "Tell your wife she ain't the only one who's tired of your lies." Within an hour, that clip was everywhere. Fans dissected every second. "So Jasmine's the one leaking?" "Nah, Kirk's setting her up again. Rasheeda need to move to Mars." It was endless. That night, Rasheeda sat by the beach with a blanket wrapped around her. The waves were calm, but her thoughts weren't. She whispered to herself, "How did we even get here?" Kirk joined her quietly. "We got here chasing a show that stopped caring about real life." She looked at him. "So what now?" He hesitated. "We end it. Both of us. Walk away from all of it." She stared at the horizon. "You really ready to give up the cameras?" He nodded. "If it means getting you back." "Yeah." It was the first time he had sounded sincere in months. But before Rasheeda could respond, Jasmine appeared behind them. Her eyes were puffy, voice trembling. "Y'all think walking away will fix this? It won't. Whoever's behind this, they're not done. They coming for all of us." Kirk stood up. "What do you mean?" Jasmine handed him her phone. It showed a new message, timestamped only minutes ago. "One more clip drops tonight. Finale worthy." The sender had attached a file labeled Cabo_recording_final. MP4. Mona arrived just then, phone in hand, her face pale. "It's already online," she whispered. Everyone crowded around her screen. The video was dark and grainy, filmed at night near the pool area. You could hear laughter, Rasheeda's, Kirk's, Jasmine's, all three of them. And then, a male voice that wasn't any of theirs said quietly, "Keep them talking, we're rolling." "Make sure she hears it live." The audio cut abruptly. Silence, then chaos. Rasheeda's voice broke. "That's proof." Somebody from production set us up. Mona looked devastated. But who? The next hours were madness. Executives from the network called, demanding statements. Lawyers got involved. Rasheeda refused to film another scene until the culprit was found. Kirk tried to mediate, but no one trusted anyone anymore. Jasmine packed her bags, muttering, "I'm done being a pawn," but before she left, a producer stopped her. "You might want to see this." He handed her a printed transcript from the video metadata. The file had been uploaded from an IP address registered to Larry, Kirk's old friend, the same one who warned him earlier about a setup. Jasmine's eyes widened. "He played us all." She ran to find Kirk, shoving the papers at him. "You said he was your friend." Kirk's face turned pale as he read the address. "He told me he was helping." Rasheeda whispered, "Helping who?" The next thing they knew, the hotel security was rushing toward the beach. A crowd had gathered. Larry was there surrounded by cameras trying to explain himself. "I did what they paid me to do. They wanted chaos. I gave it to them." Mona said we needed numbers. Mona shouted, "That's a lie." But Larry laughed. "Is it? Check the call logs." The cast gasped as security grabbed his phone. Messages, payments, and leaked files all linked to him. Rasheeda stood there, numb. So it was about ratings. Mona's eyes filled with tears. "Not from me." He went rogue. Kirk turned away, disgusted. "We sold our piece for views." As the sun set over Cabo, the villa was silent for the first time in days. The show had imploded, the truth finally out, but the damage was permanent. Fans online didn't know what to believe anymore. Was any of it real, or had it all been orchestrated? Rasheeda and Kirk sat together, staring at the ocean, drained. "You think people will ever stop talking?" she asked quietly. Kirk shook his head. "Nah, but maybe we can stop listening." She took his hand, not as a wife forgiving her husband, but as a woman deciding to move forward. Somewhere behind them, Jasmine watched silently before walking away, disappearing into the shadows as the last camera light faded out. The moment Jasmine dropped that second voice note, everything went from chaotic to downright explosive. Rasheeda, already trembling from the first message, froze when she heard Kirk's voice again, only this time, it wasn't just sweet talk. Kirk's tone was cold, calculated, and dripping with something darker. "You know what we talked about in Cabo," his voice said, echoing across the studio. "Don't act brand new. Jasmine, if she finds out, that's on you." The silence that followed was painful. Jasmine's lips parted, but no sound came out. The entire room fell still as Rasheeda's face shifted from confusion to fury. Even the radio host, who had been grinning through the chaos, couldn't find words. Rasheeda leaned closer to the mic, her voice breaking. "What did you mean by if she finds out? Kirk, what the hell are you hiding?" Her voice cracked mid-sentence, raw and trembling. Jasmine tried to reach across the table, whispering, "Rasheeda, please." "It's not what it sounds like," but Rasheeda jerked back, knocking over her coffee. It spilled across the table, the brown liquid dripping down like the scene was bleeding. The producer gestured wildly, trying to cut to a break, but the internet had already caught fire. Clips of Rasheeda's reaction were everywhere, reposted with captions like "Rasheeda's heartbreak caught live" and "Kirk's confession exposed." Fans started dissecting every second, every look, every breath. "Why did Kirk say in Cabo?" One fan tweeted. "Wasn't Jasmine there too?" Another replied, "This is why you can't bring old flames on couples trips." Back in the studio, Rasheeda finally stood up. She pressed her palms flat on the table, eyes glistening, voice calm in a way that was almost scarier. "You know what?" she said quietly. "I'm done talking. I'll let the world hear the truth." She pulled out her phone, scrolling through her messages, and found something Kirk had sent her before their trip. "You remember this?" she said, turning the phone around. It was a screenshot of a message from Kirk reading, "Don't believe everything you hear about Cabo. I handled it." Jasmine's hand flew to her mouth, realizing what was coming. "You handled it?" Rasheeda repeated. "How, Kirk?" "By sneaking off with Jasmine behind everyone's back." Jasmine shook her head, tears forming. "No, I swear it wasn't like that. That message wasn't even meant for me to post." But before she could finish, Rasheeda's phone began to ring. The name flashing on screen made everyone gasp. It was Kirk, live. The host panicked, whispering, "Should we answer?" Rasheeda grabbed the phone, hit speaker, and said, "You got something you want to say?" "Kirk, we're live." There was a long pause, then Kirk's voice filled the air, low and defensive. "What are y'all doing? This ain't how you handle stuff, Rash. Y'all twisting everything for views." Rasheeda laughed bitterly. "For views? Kirk, you sent Jasmine voice notes. You said what happened in Cabo? What's left to twist?" Kirk sighed. "You don't understand. It wasn't like that. Jasmine was just helping me with something. Helping you with what? Jasmine blurted out. Desperate. Kirk hesitated. With a surprise, he said finally, something I was planning for you, Rasheeda. Everyone in the studio looked at one another, unsure whether to believe him. The host leaned in, voice shaking from both nerves and excitement. So, Kirk, you're saying those messages were part of a surprise for Rasheeda? Kirk took a breath. Yeah, I wanted Jasmine's help setting up something special. Y'all blew this out of proportion. Rasheeda's face softened for a moment, but her instincts screamed that it didn't add up. A surprise that needed secrecy in voice notes saying if she finds out. She asked coldly. Kirk stammered. It was supposed to be look. It don't sound right when you hear it like that. Jasmine lowered her eyes, whispering, he's not lying. Rasheeda turned toward her slowly. So you're both in on this little surprise? Jasmine nodded. He asked me to help plan something romantic for your anniversary. I was only trying to make peace between y'all. The radio host looked stunned, caught between relief and suspicion. Wait, so this entire thing could have been a misunderstanding? Rasheeda's laugh came sharp, humorless. A misunderstanding that conveniently included secret calls and deleted messages. Please, Kirk sighed again. You always think the worst. Rash. That's why we can't move forward. The air thickened as fans flooded the live chat with comments. He's lying, one wrote. She should have trusted her gut. Another replied. Outside the studio, paparazzi had already gathered. The moment the segment ended, Rasheeda stormed out, ignoring everyone calling her name. Jasmine tried to follow, but security blocked her path. Let her cool off, one of them said. But cooling off wasn't in Rasheeda's vocabulary anymore. An hour later, she went live on her Instagram, still wearing the same outfit, her eyes red but fierce. I don't care what Kirk or Jasmine say, she began. I've seen too much, and I'm not about to let nobody make me look foolish again. Her voice quivered as she continued. I've been through this before. I've forgiven before, but something in my gut told me this trip to Cabo wasn't right. Thousands of viewers flooded the comments with hearts and words of support, but the speculation was louder. Kirk cheating again. This time, Jasmine caught in 4K. Even celebrities started chiming in. Erica Mena commented, "Girl, trust your instincts." Spice posted a laughing emoji with not Cabo turning into confessions live. Within hours, the hashtag #CABO confession started trending. The internet wasn't just watching, they were dissecting, reacting, choosing sides. Meanwhile, Jasmine stayed quiet. No posts, no statements. Fans speculated she had gone off-grid to avoid the backlash. But by nightfall, a video surfaced, grainy footage from a club in Cabo showing Kirk and Jasmine standing close, talking in low voices. No audio, but the body language spoke volumes. By morning, blogs had already titled it "The Video That Ends Everything." The moment Jasmine dropped that second voice note, everything went from chaotic to downright explosive. Rasheeda, already trembling from the first message, froze when she heard Kirk's voice again only. This time, it wasn't just sweet talk. Kirk's tone was cold, calculated, and dripping with something darker. You know what we talked about in Cabo, his voice said, echoing across the studio. Don't act brand new, Jasmine. If she finds out, that's on you. The silence that followed was painful. Jasmine's lips parted, but no sound came out. The entire room fell still as Rasheeda's face shifted from confusion to fury. Even the radio host, who had been grinning through the chaos, couldn't find words. Rasheeda leaned closer to the mic, her voice breaking. What did you mean by if she finds out? Kirk, what the hell are you hiding? Her voice cracked mid-sentence, raw and trembling. Jasmine tried to reach across the table, whispering, Rasheeda, please. It's not what it sounds like, but Rasheeda jerked back, knocking over her coffee. It spilled across the table, the brown liquid dripping down like the scene was bleeding. The producer gestured wildly, trying to cut to a break, but the internet had already caught fire. Clips of Rasheeda's reaction were everywhere, reposted with captions like Rasheeda's heartbreak caught live and Kirk's confession exposed. Fans started dissecting every second, every look, every breath. Why did Kirk say in Cabo? One fan tweeted, wasn't Jasmine there too? Another replied, this is why you can't bring old flames on couples trips. Back in the studio, Rasheeda finally stood up. She pressed her palms flat on the table, eyes glistening, voice calm in a way that was almost scarier. You know what? She said quietly. I'm done talking. I'll let the world hear the truth. She pulled out her phone, scrolling through her messages, and found something Kirk had sent her before their trip. You remember this? She said, turning the phone around. It was a screenshot of a message from Kirk reading, don't believe everything you hear about Cabo. I handled it. Jasmine's hand flew to her mouth, realizing what was coming. You handled it, Rasheeda repeated. How? Kirk. By sneaking off with Jasmine behind everyone's back. Jasmine shook her head, tears forming. No. I swear it wasn't like that. That message wasn't even meant for me to post. But before she could finish, Rasheeda's phone began to ring. The name flashing on screen made everyone gasp. It was Kirk. Liv. The host panicked, whispering, should we answer? Rasheeda grabbed the phone, hit speaker, and said, you got something you want to say? Kirk, we're live. There was a long pause. Then Kirk's voice filled the air, low and defensive. What are y'all doing? This ain't how you handle stuff. Rash. Y'all twisting everything for views. Rasheeda laughed bitterly. For views? Kirk, you sent Jasmine voice notes. You said what happened in Cabo. What's left to twist? Kirk sighed. You don't understand. It wasn't like that. Jasmine was just helping me with something. Helping you with what? Jasmine blurted out, desperate. Kirk hesitated. With a surprise, he said finally, something I was planning for you. Rasheeda. Everyone in the studio looked at one another, unsure whether to believe him. The host leaned in, voice shaking from both nerves and excitement. So, Kirk, you're saying those messages were part of a surprise for Rasheeda? Kirk took a breath. Yeah, I wanted Jasmine's help setting up something special. Y'all blew this out of proportion. Rasheeda's face softened for a moment, but her instincts screamed that it didn't add up. A surprise that needed secrecy and voice notes saying if she finds out, she asked coldly. Kirk stammered. It was supposed to be look, it don't sound right when you hear it like that. Jasmine lowered her eyes, whispering, he's not lying. Rasheeda turned toward her slowly. So you're both in on this little surprise? Jasmine nodded. He asked me to help plan something romantic for your anniversary. I was only trying to make peace between y'all. The radio host looked stunned, caught between relief and suspicion. Wait, so this entire thing could have been a misunderstanding? Rasheeda's laugh came sharp, humorless. A misunderstanding that conveniently included secret calls and deleted messages. Please. Kirk sighed again. You always think the worst. Rash. That's why we can't move forward. The air thickened as fans flooded the live chat with comments. He's lying. One wrote, she should have trusted her gut. Another replied, outside the studio, paparazzi had already gathered. The moment the segment ended, Rasheeda stormed out, ignoring everyone calling her name. Jasmine tried to follow, but security blocked her path. Let her cool off, one of them said. But cooling off wasn't in Rasheeda's vocabulary anymore. An hour later, she went live on her Instagram, still wearing the same outfit, her eyes red but fierce. I don't care what Kirk or Jasmine say, she began. I've seen too much, and I'm not about to let nobody make me look foolish again. Her voice quivered as she continued. I've been through this before. I've forgiven before. But something in my gut told me this trip to Cabo wasn't right. Thousands of viewers flooded the comments with hearts and words of support, but the speculation was louder. Kirk cheating again. This time, Jasmine caught in 4K. Even celebrities started chiming in. Erica Mena commented, girl, trust your instincts. Spice posted a laughing emoji with not Cabo turning into confessions live. Within hours, the hashtag #CABO confession started trending. The internet wasn't just watching, they were dissecting, reacting, choosing sides. Meanwhile, Jasmine stayed quiet. No posts, no statements. Fans speculated she had gone off-grid to avoid the backlash. But by nightfall, a video surfaced grainy footage from a club in Cabo showing Kirk and Jasmine standing close, talking in low voices. No audio, but the body language spoke volumes. By morning, blogs had already titled it, The Video That Ends Everything. The next morning felt like a storm before sunrise. Rasheeda hadn't slept. Her phone wouldn't stop buzzing, notifications stacking up faster than she could clear them. Everyone had an opinion. Everyone wanted her reaction. But she was quiet, too quiet. Kirk, on the other hand, woke up to his own nightmare. TMZ, The Shade Room. Hollywood Unlocked. They all had the same headline. New video suggests Kirk Frost and Jasmine Blue caught together in Cabo before voice note scandal. Kirk slammed his phone down, muttering, they don't even know the truth. But the truth was the last thing anyone believed anymore. Fans were convinced. Bloggers were spinning stories. And Jasmine, she was nowhere to be found. Her last post was from 2 days ago, smiling by the ocean. The comments under it had turned into a war zone. Snake energy, someone wrote. Betrayal in bikini form. Another added, she didn't reply to any of it. Rasheeda finally broke her silence later that afternoon. She posted a single black screen with the words, when loyalty becomes optional, respect becomes rare. That post alone got 500,000 likes in an hour. Kirk called her over and over, but she didn't pick up. She was done listening. That evening, Love and Hip Hop producers called both of them. They wanted to address the issue on camera. It wasn't just drama anymore, it was ratings gold. The network smelled blood. They arranged a private sit-down to clear the air, but everyone knew what that really meant. The scene was set in a fancy Atlanta restaurant, candles flickering, tension thicker than the air itself. Rasheeda arrived first, wearing sunglasses even though it was dim inside. She didn't look around once. Kirk came 10 minutes later, already sweating, phone in hand, mumbling something about being set up. The producers whispered to each other behind the cameras, ready to roll. "So?" Kirk began, his voice trembling slightly. "You really think I'd embarrass you again, like that?" Rasheeda leaned back, arms folded. "Think I don't need to think, Kirk. I heard you." Kirk rubbed his temples. "You don't even know the full story." Rasheeda's laugh came short, sharp. "Oh, right. There's always another story with you." The waiter approached, but she waved him off. "Don't bring nothing yet. I don't want to ruin my appetite with lies." Kirk sighed deeply. "Look, the video, it's not what it looks like." "Then tell me," she said, her tone suddenly calm but deadly. "What does it look like to you?" Kirk hesitated, glancing toward the cameras. "I was talking to Jasmine about a brand deal." "That's it?" "We were meeting with someone from Cabo who Rasheeda cut him off. And that requires voice notes at midnight." "Don't play me, Kirk. I built this empire with you, not for you." She leaned forward. "Kirk, I built this empire with you, not for you." She leaned forward, eyes piercing. "You're acting like I'm stupid." For a moment, Kirk didn't speak. Then he reached into his pocket and placed his phone on the table. "Fine," he said quietly. "You want to hear something?" He pressed play on a recording. Jasmine's voice came through first, soft and nervous. "Kirk, I don't think she's gonna take it well if she finds out." Then Kirk's voice followed. "She'll find out when it's time. I'm doing this for us." Rasheeda's hand froze midair. "For us," she whispered. Kirk quickly added, "That was about the business surprise. I swear." Rasheeda laughed bitterly. "A business surprise called us. Kirk, you can't even keep your lies straight anymore." Tears welled in her eyes, but she blinked them away. Kirk leaned closer. "Rash, I'm telling you, it's not what it sounds like." She looked straight into his eyes. "Then what is it, Kirk? Because the world thinks you cheated. Jasmine disappeared, and I'm sitting here looking like a fool again." Just then, one of the producers received a message and whispered to another crew member. They exchanged nervous looks. "What?" Kirk asked. "What's going on?" The producer swallowed hard. "Someone just sent us a video. Jasmine. She went live from Mexico." Kirk's face drained of color. "What?" The producer turned his tablet around. There, on screen, Jasmine appeared in tears. "I can't take this anymore," she said through sobs. "Everybody keeps calling me names. I didn't do what they're saying. But there was something that happened in Cabo that none of y'all know." Rasheeda's mouth fell open. Kirk tried to reach for the tablet, but the producer held it firm. Jasmine continued. "The night before that recording, Kirk came to my room. He was upset, said he felt unappreciated, said Rasheeda didn't listen anymore. I told him to go back to his wife, but she paused, wiping tears. He stayed. The room went silent. Even the cameras seemed to hum softer. Rasheeda stared blankly at the screen, her breathing shallow. Kirk muttered, "She's lying. She's trying to save herself." Rasheeda stood up slowly, her voice low and controlled. "You said it wasn't what it looked like, right?" Kirk tried to stand too, but she pushed her chair back hard enough to make him flinch. "You've humiliated me for the last time." She turned to the producers. "Cut the cameras." But they didn't move. They wanted every second of it. Kirk pleaded, "Rash, please, don't do this here." She looked at him, eyes wet but unyielding. "You did this here." She stormed out, heels clicking like thunder against the floor. Kirk ran after her, but security held him back as producers shouted for a follow shot. Outside, paparazzi swarmed, flashes lit up her face as she climbed into her car. She didn't look back once. Inside, she finally let the tears fall, whispering to herself, "I should have known." Meanwhile, Jasmine ended her live abruptly. Within minutes, her post disappeared, but not before fans recorded it. Blogs exploded again. Jasmine admits Kirk spent the night in Cabo. One headline screamed, "Rasheeda walks out mid-filming." Another said, "Kirk went silent on social media for 2 days." When he finally posted, it was a black and white selfie with the caption, "Don't believe everything you hear. Some truths take time." The comments section erupted. Gaslighting 101. One fan wrote, "We heard the voice notes, bro." Another replied, "As for Rasheeda, she disappeared from the public eye. No events, no posts, nothing. It was as if she vanished to heal in silence." But that silence only made fans hungrier for answers. And deep inside, even Kirk knew this story was far from over. 3 days passed before anyone saw Rasheeda again. Atlanta felt quieter without her usual presence, but underneath that calm, gossip was boiling. The blogs wouldn't stop spinning theories. Some claimed Rasheeda had filed for divorce already. Others swore she was secretly meeting a lawyer. Fans began camping in her Instagram comments, begging for updates. "Say something," Queen One wrote. "Don't let him play you again," another added. Kirk tried calling her every hour, leaving voicemails that ranged from apologetic to desperate. "Please, Rash, don't let the media destroy what we built. I messed up, but it's not like that," his voice said in one of them. But Rasheeda had heard every kind of apology before. This time, her silence was louder than any confrontation. Then, just when people thought she was hiding away, Rasheeda made her return. She showed up at a local women's empowerment brunch in Atlanta, wearing a cream suit and diamond earrings that caught every light. She walked in smiling, cameras flashing from every corner. It wasn't just an appearance, it was a statement. She greeted fans, posed for pictures, and even laughed during interviews. But behind her calm eyes, there was still fire. When a reporter asked about the Cabo situation, she simply said, "Everything done in the dark finds its way to light." The clip went viral within minutes. People started calling it her queen comeback moment. Kirk saw it too, sitting alone in his studio, staring at her image on the screen. He muttered to himself, "She's not gonna let this go easy." By that evening, Rasheeda dropped another Bama short teaser video on her YouTube channel titled, "My Side of Cabo, The Truth You Didn't Hear." It opened with a slow zoom on her face, eyes tired but steady. "Y'all heard his version," she said. "You even heard Jasmine's tears. Now it's time you hear mine." The internet froze. Within an hour, over 500,000 views poured in, fans spamming the comments with theories and popcorn emojis. But before she could release the full video, something unexpected happened. Jasmine broke her silence again. This time through an exclusive interview with a gossip blogger known for chaos-ak. The promo clip hit Instagram first, with Jasmine saying, "I owe it to everyone to tell what really happened in Cabo." In the full interview, Jasmine appeared visibly drained. She avoided eye contact, her voice trembling as she spoke. "I didn't mean to hurt Rasheeda. She's always been good to me," she began. But that night, Kirk was different. He kept saying he felt alone, like she didn't see him anymore. Tasha raised an eyebrow. "So did something happen between y'all?" Jasmine hesitated before whispering, "We talked, we drank, and yes, he kissed me." The internet exploded instantly. She admitted it. Fans tweeted, "Not just a rumor anymore." Within hours, Kirk's name was trending worldwide. His phone was ringing non-stop. But this time, it wasn't Rasheeda, it was his management, his sponsors, his business partners. Deals were being paused, appearances cancelled. Everyone wanted distance. That night, Kirk went live on Instagram, visibly stressed. "Y'all running with lies," he said. "Me and Jasmine never crossed that line. Y'all believe what y'all wanna believe." His live barely lasted 5 minutes before fans flooded it with angry comments. "You kissed her lie. Rasheeda deserves better." Frustrated, he ended it abruptly. Minutes later, Rasheeda posted a single message on her story. "When the devil can't reach you, he sends a distraction." It was short, but it said everything. Fans sided with her instantly, hailing her as the strong one and the real queen of Atlanta. But behind the scenes, things were more complicated. Jasmine, feeling the full weight of the backlash, checked into a hotel outside the city under a fake name. She turned her phone off, but somehow, the media still found her. Paparazzi caught her sneaking out for food, her hood pulled low, her eyes swollen from crying. Every site ran the same image with captions like "Jasmine Blue on the run from scandal." Meanwhile, Rasheeda's team was busy preparing her YouTube tell-all. They edited the footage, added screenshots, and even included leaked texts that showed Kirk's late-night messages. "You up? One read. Can't stop thinking about that night?" The texts were blurry but clear enough to recognize Kirk's name at the top. Fans lost their minds. When the full video finally dropped, it was pure wildfire. Rasheeda sat in her boutique.com and collected. "I tried to give grace," she said softly, "but grace doesn't mean blindness." She described how the trip to Cabo started as a celebration of rebuilding their marriage, but turned into her biggest heartbreak. "Things were off from the first night," she explained. "Kirk was distant, sneaking calls. Every time I asked who it was, he'd say it was business. I wanted to believe him." Halfway through, she played the infamous voice note again, the one that started it all. "Now listen closely," she said. "This is where his story falls apart." She zoomed in on the times. This was sent at 2:37 a.m. Tell me what kind of business happens at 2:37 a.m. Her fans filled the chat with fire emojis and comments like, "Say it louder," and "We stan a smart woman." The video hit 2 million views in less than 24 hours. Every blog reposted clips from it, calling it the takedown of the year. Kirk stayed silent. Jasmine deactivated her Instagram. Love and Hip Hop producers announced they were filming a special reunion episode to address the situation publicly. Speculation soared. Will Rasheeda confront Jasmine face to face? Will Kirk show up? Atlanta hadn't seen this kind of scandal since the Stevie J and Joe's Line days. The tension was electric. The internet was alive. And everyone knew the reunion would either fix everything or destroy it completely. The reunion taping began on a humid Atlanta evening, and from the start, it didn't feel like an episode. It felt like Atlanta evening, and from the start, it didn't feel like an episode. It felt like a reckoning. The set lights glared like interrogation lamps, and the audience whispered as the cast took their seats. Kirk came in first, wearing all black, looking worn out but trying to keep composure. Jasmine entered minutes later, escorted by producers who didn't want another pre-show confrontation. She sat 3 chairs away from Kirk, hands clasped so tight her knuckles turned white. The air grew thicker when Rasheeda finally arrived. The crowd started clapping before the cameras even rolled. She didn't glance at Kirk, didn't even acknowledge Jasmine. She just sat down, spine straight, expression unreadable. The host, Mona Scott Young herself, knew the moment was big. She looked around the stage and began, "We've seen the headlines, we've heard the voice notes. But tonight, we hear it from them." The audience cheered. Rasheeda sat still, waiting. Mona turned to Kirk. "Let's start with you. Is there anything you want to say before we get into the details?" Kirk nodded, cleared his throat, and said, "I want to apologize. Not just to Rasheeda but to everyone watching. Things got twisted. I should have handled it better." Mona raised an eyebrow. "So you're saying nothing inappropriate happened between you and Jasmine?" Kirk hesitated, glancing toward Jasmine. We made mistakes in judgment, but nothing physical happened." Jasmine flinched slightly, eyes darting toward the floor. Mona caught it immediately. "Jasmine, do you agree with that version?" Jasmine's silence filled the room louder than any response could. Finally, she spoke, voice trembling. "He kissed me," she said. Gasps echoed from the audience. Rasheeda's expression didn't change, but her hands gripped the arms of her chair. Kirk looked stunned, muttering, "That's not what happened." Mona leaned in. "So you're saying she's lying?" Kirk's jaw tightened. "I'm saying it wasn't like that." Rasheeda finally spoke, calm and steady. "You keep saying that, Kirk. It wasn't like that." "Well, tell us what was it like?" He opened his mouth, but she didn't let him answer. "Because from where I'm sitting, you embarrassed me publicly again. You let another woman drag my name through the mud, and all you've said since is, it wasn't like that." The crowd broke into murmurs, phones raised to record every second. Mona tried to regain control. "Rasheeda, you've had time to process everything. Do you believe Jasmine?" Rasheeda took a breath. "I believe my instincts," she said. "And my instincts have never lied to me." The tension spiked again when Mona announced, "We have one more thing to play before y'all respond." The room dimmed, and a screen behind them flickered to life. It showed unseen footage from Cabo, grainy, shaky, but unmistakable. Kirk and Jasmine were standing outside a hotel room, late at night. Jasmine whispered, "We shouldn't be doing this," and Kirk replied, "Nobody's gonna know." The clip ended abruptly. The room erupted. Kirk's face turned pale. Jasmine buried her face in her hands. Rasheeda sat frozen for a long moment before standing up slowly. "That's all I needed," she said. Mona called her name, but Rasheeda was already walking off set, security following close behind. Cameras tried to follow, but she waved them off, her voice cracking. "Cut this. I'm done." Outside, in the hallway, she finally let go. Tears fell freely as she whispered to herself, "How many times can you forgive the same mistake?" Kirk ran after her, calling her name, but she kept walking. "Please, Rash." It was edited. "You know how they do with footage." She turned sharply. "Edited or not, you said nobody's gonna know. That's real enough." He tried to reach for her, but she stepped back. "Don't touch me. You made your choice." Cameras caught every second, and within hours, that clip was everywhere. The caption read, "Rasheeda walks out after new Cabo footage exposes Kirk." Back on stage, Jasmine was breaking down. "I didn't want this to happen," she sobbed. "I didn't leak anything. Someone else had that video." Mona placed a hand on her shoulder. "Then who did?" Jasmine wiped her eyes. "Someone from the trip. I don't know who, but I know they were recording us that night." Kirk stormed back in, furious. "So now you saying someone set us up?" Jasmine nodded weakly. Maybe they wanted to expose you. I told you not to come to my room that night. Kirk clenched his jaw. You should have said no. I did, she shot back, her voice suddenly strong. But you didn't listen. The room fell silent again. Mona turned to the audience. This is beyond what we expected tonight. Clearly there's more to this story. As the taping ended, fans online were already dissecting every word, every glance. He's guilty, some said. Jasmine tried to warn him, others argued. Rasheeda's walkout trended worldwide. By midnight, #RASHEED. A deserves better had reached the top of Twitter. Meanwhile, Kirk and Jasmine were still being filmed backstage, their arguments spilling into the hallway. You ruined everything, Kirk yelled. Jasmine fired back. You ruined it when you couldn't stay faithful for 5 minutes. Crew members rushed in to separate them. Cameras caught Kirk slamming a door as Jasmine collapsed into a chair, crying. Later that night, Rasheeda posted again, this time a picture of her wedding ring sitting on the bathroom counter. The caption read, "Some things don't need closure, they need peace." Fans flooded her page with messages of support. Celebrities commented hearts, praying hands, and crowns. Kirk didn't post anything for days. His silence said enough. Jasmine disappeared from social media completely, but Atlanta kept talking. People whispered that Rasheeda had moved out, that Kirk was staying in a hotel downtown, and somewhere, hidden beneath all the noise, was the quiet truth. Cabo wasn't just a scandal. It was the breaking point that ended everything. As Atlanta tried to catch its breath from the chaos, another storm was already building. This time behind the closed doors of Love and Hip Hop's production meetings. Mona Scott Young had seen plenty of drama before, but even she wasn't ready for how far things had gone this time. Kirk was silent, his phone lighting up with missed calls from sponsors, bloggers, and producers demanding answers. Rasheeda had switched her phone off completely. Jasmine was hiding out at a friend's place, terrified of being followed after the clip leaked. And that clip, the one showing Kirk holding Jasmine's baby while saying he looks just like me, had now been viewed over 10 million times in less than 24 hours. People weren't just watching, they were dissecting every word, every movement, every expression. Twitter threads, Reddit theories, Instagram reels, everyone had their own version of what really happened that night, but no one had the full truth. Late that evening, Kirk drove through downtown Atlanta in silence. His face was tense, his mind racing through memories he had buried years ago. He stopped at a red light and looked at his reflection in the window. For a moment, he didn't even recognize himself. The same man who once promised Rasheeda loyalty now sat alone in a car, hated by millions. He called Jasmine. No answer. He called again. Finally, she picked up, her voice shaking. "Why did you let that video get out?" she whispered. Kirk didn't answer. He couldn't, because deep down, he wasn't sure anymore whether he had been set up or whether fate was just cruel. Jasmine hung up before he could say anything. Meanwhile, Rasheeda sat in a dim hotel room, her wedding ring lying on the table beside an untouched glass of wine. Her manager had told her to lay low, but the silence was unbearable. She turned on her phone and opened Instagram. Thousands of messages flooded in, some defending her, most pitying her. But one message stopped her cold. It was from an unknown account, with a single line. "You think that was the only video?" Her hands trembled. She dialed Kirk's number, but he didn't pick up. She threw her phone onto the bed, stood up, and whispered to herself, "They're not gonna ruin me like this." Back at VH1 headquarters, the executive board was in chaos. Advertisers were threatening to pull out. They needed control, and fast. Mona Scott called Kirk and Rasheeda in for an emergency meeting. When they walked into the room, the tension was thick. Mona didn't waste time. "We can't let this destroy the show," she said firmly. "People love drama, but not like this. We need to turn this around, make it part of the storyline before the press buries us." Kirk rubbed his face, exhausted. "You want me to fake it like it's all entertainment?" Mona nodded. "You've done it before. Do it again." Rasheeda stood up. "No," she said quietly. "This isn't just TV anymore. This is my life." But before she could walk out, the door burst open, and in walked Jasmine, escorted by her publicist. Everyone froze. She looked directly at Kirk, her voice trembling but sharp. "You told me the truth didn't matter, as long as the cameras were rolling. Well, guess what? Now everyone knows the truth." The room fell silent. Mona's assistant whispered something in her ear, and Mona's expression changed. "We just got confirmation," she said slowly. "There's another clip." Everyone's heart dropped. Jasmine smirked bitterly. "Yeah, and that one shows who really leaked it." Rasheeda turned toward Jasmine, her voice shaking. "You're lying." Jasmine crossed her arms. "Am I? Because the person who sent that footage was closer to you than you think." Kirk looked confused. Who? Jasmine paused for a long moment, then looked at Mona. Ask your people. Someone from your own crew sold us all out. Mona's jaw clenched. She picked up her phone, dialing security. Lock down the editing rooms, she ordered. Nobody leaves until we find out who did this. In the editing rooms, she ordered. Nobody leaves until we find out who did this. The meeting spiraled into shouting. Kirk accused Jasmine of trying to ruin him. Rasheeda demanded names. Mona tried to control the chaos, but it was too late. Phones were buzzing everywhere. The second clip had just leaked. This time, it wasn't Kirk holding the baby, it was Rasheeda, crying, whispering something that shook the internet all over again. I knew about the baby before everyone else. The clip was short but powerful. It destroyed every narrative she had tried to maintain. Within minutes, the hashtags #RASHEEDA new and #Kirk exposed were trending worldwide. Blogs called her manipulative. Fans called her fake. And Kirk, who had just started to think things couldn't get worse, watched his wife become the villain in her own story. By midnight, Atlanta was on fire again. People gathered outside Frost Bistro, cameras flashing, reporters shouting questions. Inside, Rasheeda sat in the dark corner of the restaurant, surrounded by her closest friends, tears streaking her face. I didn't leak that, she whispered. I didn't, but no one knew what to believe anymore. Meanwhile, Mona sat alone in her office, staring at the wall. She had built an empire on drama, betrayal, and secrets, but this time, she wasn't sure if even she could fix it, because what was coming next wasn't just another scandal. It was revenge, and Atlanta had no idea how ugly it was about to get. As the dust begins to settle over Atlanta, one thing is clear. This storm isn't passing anytime soon. The clip, the betrayal, the tears, the silence, it all left a wound too deep for cameras to heal. Kirk and Rasheeda's world isn't just fractured, it's exposed. Every truth, every lie, every whisper that once hid behind studio doors now lives in the minds of millions watching, judging, debating. Love and hip-hop has always promised chaos, but this time, it feels personal, too real, too raw. The kind of real that makes you forget you're watching television. The kind of pain that reminds you these aren't just characters. They're people caught between love, loyalty, and survival. Rasheeda walks out, and that image will stay forever. A woman done with pretending. Done with smiling for ratings. Done with protecting a man who couldn't protect her heart. She may return, or she may not. But what she's leaving behind is more than a storyline. It's a message to every woman who ever stayed quiet to keep a home together. Sometimes walking out isn't weakness, it's freedom. And sometimes, silence isn't peace, it's punishment. And Kirk, the man everyone loved to hate, now stands at a crossroads. Not just as a husband, but as a man trying to understand the wreckage of his own choices. The world may never forgive him, but maybe, that's not what this story is about. Maybe it's about what happens when the mask slips, when reality TV becomes reality itself, and when love real, flawed, broken love stops performing and starts confessing. For Jasmine, her chapter isn't over either. She was painted as the villain, the outsider, the woman who broke a home. But every time she steps into the spotlight, the truth seems to shift again. Is she the problem? Or just another person caught in the game? She's been shamed, silenced, called every name in the book. Yet somehow, she keeps standing. Maybe that's what strength looks like when the world wants to see you fall. And Mona Scott-Young, the mastermind behind it all, now faces the biggest question of her career. How far is too far? What happens when entertainment crosses the line into destruction? Can you build an empire out of heartbreak without burning every bridge on the way? Her silence speaks volumes. Maybe even she knows that some stories don't need to be filmed to be unforgettable. But the real story isn't just about them. It's about us, the viewers, the fans, the ones who can't stop watching. We feed the fire with every click, every share, every comment. We demand truth, but we crave scandal. We say we want authenticity, but we celebrate exposure. Maybe, in some strange way, we've become part of the drama ourselves. Because without our eyes, none of this would exist. And now, as Atlanta sleeps, the city holds its breath, waiting for the next twist, the next headline, the next leak that will shake the internet again. Maybe tomorrow, someone will apologize. Maybe someone will tell the truth. Or maybe, the silence will grow louder, until it becomes its own confession. So here's your moment to think who's really guilty. Kirk for his choices, Rasheeda for her silence, Jasmine for her truth, or us, for turning their pain into entertainment. Because this story may end on screen, but the echoes of it live far beyond the edits, beyond the hashtags, beyond the lights. And if you've made it this far, you already know this isn't the end. Not for Kirk. Not for Rasheeda. Not for Jasmine. Not for love and hip-hop. Because Atlanta never sleeps. And in this city, secrets never stay buried for long. So keep your eyes open, keep your ears ready, and remember, in this world of reality and illusion, the truth is always the most expensive thing to buy. And the next time the cameras start rolling, don't just watch the show, watch who's watching back. Because in the end, every scandal has a heartbeat, every rumor starts with a whisper, and every walkout is just the beginning of another story. Stay tuned. Atlanta isn't done talking yet.